Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Today's Weather Tonight. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Venus's day. She smiles upon us because we've got some beautiful snow right here. Yes, this is Cloud Hudson, your host, as always, coming to you direct from Bigfoot country, somewhere out here in Western North Carolina. Ambiguous location. Don't come find me. And as you can see here, we've finally gotten some snow. Finally. All the meteorologists were like, nah, they got their hopes dashed by the past few snowstorms not making it over the mountains. But what did I tell y'all, folks? I said if there's any snowstorm that's gonna snow in Asheville, I mean somewhere I am, that's a hippie place. It's gonna be Winter Storm Indigo. Okay? We're just full of indigo children here. It's just a town full of autistic people and artists, or maybe we're all autists. I don't know if they're saying it with a British accent, but here we are. We have some real verifiable snow, and this has been some pretty nice dendritic stuff. And show you inside. This is my makeshift singing bowl. Actually, you can get your own too if you find yourself with a broken chandelier. It's beautiful. Let's take a look at the leaves. Let's take a look at just a slice of how juicy. This is highly fluffy snow, okay? See if we can get this to focus right. Yeah. Maybe you can see it, but I will be uploading some pictures I've taken later to my community tab on YouTube. If y'all are on Facebook or Twitter, don't forget to follow me on YouTube as well. Now, it is only, I'd say, half an inch. It's a dusting. It's a smidgen of a dusting. It's a significant dusting here. It does feel, it is 19 degrees outside currently here, and it feels like it, but weirdly, it feels warmer than it did last night. So I don't know if y'all can see the sparkly little, it's beautiful, beautiful snow. Just absolutely gorgeous. You don't want to, this ain't no slush, Look at that. Look at that. Let me get my cinematography right. Yeah, you can see that. Beautiful. It's almost thinking about covering the ground completely, which is what you really want to, all you can ask for at this point out of the climate. So I'm going to go inside with that. Let's, big round of applause, everybody. Folks at home, give me a big round of applause for the snow one more time out there, just doing its thing. Really beautiful. It's the thought that counts. That's the real message of this snow. It's the thought that counts. It was nice that it was just nice to be included. It's an honor just to be nominated is kind of the energy of this snowstorm for the South. All right, let's go in. Breaking into my secret hole. My weather cave. ASMR, you're breaking into my home. POV, you break into my home. Okay. Then I set and we go back here. Oh man. Hope y'all don't mind the shaky cam. If anybody wants to get me, I do have a different video camera that can be used as a webcam if somebody buys me a mini HDMI cord. That is on my things to get me. Look at me. I look so weather official. This is really the weather. This truly is the weather, I'm telling you. This is not sponsored. It's not sponsored. Don't look at that. That's my shameful brand loyalty. Okay. So let's get into it. Hi, y'all. That was fun. I haven't gotten to report live from the field yet in my career as a very, very short new career as a broadcast crazy person, meteorologist type deal. All right, let's get into it. Today's weather was finally snowy east of the Appalachian Mountains. Oh my God, it finally happened. We got more over the heat island effect and that thermal mass effect, and the fact that all of our southwesterly flows were just aligned perfectly with the mountains to like only go over the mountains on their way to Asheville. It couldn't take the short route. It took like the longest way through the mountains to get to us. So that's why it took the air mass so long to get into this valley, in my opinion. And I think that once we hit like a threshold, we after all of these southern snowstorms came through the rest of the South, we finally hit the threshold at which point we could actually muscle some cold air over the mountains, because there was no more, we ate away at the warm layer that was keeping it kind of insulated. Because you remember we've talked about the insulation value of y'all remember our crazy conversation about the R value of air, right? It's both a good insulator thermally and electrically, but it also could be conductive depending on what your like what the contrast is. Let's go over here to, I'm going to go ahead and get our screen share brought up here. Oh, glad I put on that headphone. I'm so much different with it. Let's go ahead and share what I'm looking at here. The news from Iceland is that, there's still significant uplift happening. The ground is still inflating. Remember, we talk about there's like a balloon underneath the ground and it's swelling, so the cake is cracking on top. Yeah, it's still swelling up there. The official word from the Icelandic Meteorological Office is that the sheath of lava, that the dike, if you will, let me say that, the magma dike that erupted on the 14th seems to be complete with its eruption phase, but then there is still a second dike there. I know, not just one, but two dikes in the same room. Are they married or something? Okay, I'm sorry. I promise I won't shoehorn any more jokes about dikes into this. No, I can't make that promise. Guys, the deformation measurements have slowed down just a little bit, but I still am concerned about all the uplift that's happening under Mount Thorbjorn. They updated a new hazard map today, and wouldn't you know it, again, they've magically made it go from yellow to red. Just yellow straight to red on the hazard map, because that's how gradients work. Doesn't have to be an orange between yellow and red. Sorry if that's just my like nitpicky. Why is my white balance so weird today? Is it because I'm wearing a black shirt? Hello? Can you? Why? Sorry, I don't want to look like a ghost, but I don't. Like, come on. Can you focus just a little bit? There we go. Okay. No, it just doesn't want to do it. Can I focus if the white balance isn't right? No, not at all. Not at all. I can't focus at all. Okay. Here we go. This hazard map is going to stay in effect until the 25th. Basically, again, this whole place is just Swiss cheese. It's earth cheese. It's cracking and crumbling. This is a very delicate souffle of. It's a cake with molten lava in it. Imagine a cake, but it's full of lava. That's what's going on here. And you just can't even step on the ground without mooshing in some lava and it coming out somewhere else. So it's a really bad situation for people whose entire life is in Grinovic. So that's pretty sad. But uncertainty face. This is where I love translations. Warning, uncertainty face due to avalanche danger in South Iceland. South Iceland avalanche risk. They just had a big snowstorm there too. So Myrdal. Let's see. Oh, yes, in the very southern peninsula. Man, that's the last thing they need. That's where people were going. Man. Heavy snowfall and sleet from the east is predicted until the morning. So not only is it snowing here, folks, but it is also snowing in Iceland. So I know, shocking. A place named after ice. It's snowing there. Alert the presses. But it, again, as we've talked about with earthquakes here, the earthquakes and volcanoes, the earthquake activity is how we know what the volcano is up to. And earthquake activity is harder to measure when there's more turbulent surface weather because they use the same units to measure weather and earthquakes. It basically messes up the background, gives it a little background noise. But you can still, I mean, they say that the earthquakes have dropped off significantly, but I think that it's still pretty clear on this map where the active regions are. And if you haven't been paying attention to these, there's been a seesaw of motion going back and forth between the North Atlantic and this peninsula by way of the Grimsvötn area. And I think that there is, like, let's look at Vatnajökull is this little ice formation. That's the one that had the 4.3 the other day. And then over in the Reykjanes Peninsula, where we're seeing the volcano risk, we have actually seen the momentum shift back up here recently. I'm expecting it to make its way back down, seesawing the momentum there. All right, but that's not even the only volcano that we've got. I need a sip of water. My heater came on. It got very dry. Okay, so interactive Earth volcano map. Let's see. Let's show the quakes. Let's show all for world. Past 24 hours. Oh, is it going to load? There we go. So these are all the total earthquakes and volcanoes for the last 24 hours. Let's see. Zoom in just a little bit. Like I've pointed out, we have more activity over here in Puerto Rico than none, more than none. And we've still got a significant activity of 4.0, 3.6s. We're seeing like 3.2 to 4.0s all up and down Mexico's southern coast, all the way into Honduras. And that is where we've got, Fuego volcano. We've got Popocatépetl volcano. Popocatépetl. I'm still bad at that. I will get better. Rincon de la Vieja. That's not the other one that was active. That one is... it's hard to zoom in on these. But we've still got Reventador and Sangye volcano, and also the Sabancaya volcano there showing a little bit of activity. they've got but that's pretty normal. We are actually in like a little bit of a lull for earthquake activity. Let's actually go to interactive earthquake browser. Looking at time range since yesterday. And sorry, I have to pull this up on stream. I have some, I'm streaming from a Chromebook, so it is a little bit difficult to preload all of these tabs. So if anybody wants to contribute to the Better Computer Fund, that's also on the links in the description on my YouTube channel. What's today? Oh, I don't want to do. Yeah, there we go. Let's go from Thursday to today. Magnitude range, all, depth, all. Okay. All right. So we are looking at, okay, more in Turkey. That was today. Remember, we had a 4.1 at 10 kilometers yesterday. We've got a second one there today. And we've also got another hit right off the coast of Greece. Oxylithos, Greece. And here we've got a 4.8, 50 kilometers down in Azerbaijan. We haven't seen that one hit in a while. So that, to me, let's go ahead and get the plate boundaries on here. Where's show plates? Okay. So we are seeing it move this momentum that had been popping up. If you remember, we had been getting these shallow fours at the peaks of the waves in the plate, but now we're seeing it at kind of the anti-peak. Like we're seeing where at the height where the peak would be, kind of at the inflection points. So we've got one in Greece, Turkey, Azerbaijan. Here on the Afghanistan-Tajikistan border, we've got another, a new one here in Xinjiang in China, and another one down here in the Yunnan province in China. Do we have any? We had one up here in Russia the other day. Oh, we still got several in moving all up and down the coast here, and several today. This is one we haven't seen on this side of all year we've been getting a lot of earthquakes north, south, and off the coast of the Noto Peninsula here in Japan, but we haven't seen one in its most common earthquake strike zone, which is here on the East Coast, right off the coast of Tokyo, off the main island, southwest of Hasaki, Japan. Right here near the like H-shaped intersection, and like this is 4 different plates coming together right now. And if you notice, these are convergent plates, so these are subsidence. It's 4 different types of subsidence action happening all at once. But we are expanding here in the East China Sea. So when you get out here in the little island chains on the way to Taiwan, and there was one off the coast of the southern coast of Taiwan the other day, right on the plate boundary. So we're looking at, again, this is probably at what, 10 kilometers? Yeah, 11 kilometers depth. All these 4s, I think it's the same momentum at that horizontal level, been going around the globe for the last few weeks. More off the coast these are creeping up closer and closer to India. Remember, we've got a lot of we've still got volcanoes active in West Sumatra, We've still got one. We've got, all right, several. This was yesterday, technically, right on the dot. One in Indonesia. We've got a 5.2 and a 4.6 that were yesterday, kind of right back to back. One shallow and one a little bit deeper, like right below. So that to me tells, and you had the deeper one just slightly before the shallower one. So that to me implies a coming out of the plate. This one in Papua New Guinea is new. That is another moderately deep 4. And that was actually, that happened after these did. So, and these, yeah, 1247, 20. So at the same depth range, we went from here to here, all the way over to here. So that momentum is going that way. We've also had a lot of momentum into and out of the plate over here in the Fiji Island wave curl area. Remember, I like to say this is where, like, you can see the whole plate is shaped like an ocean wave breaking. And so that's where a lot of into and out of the plate motion will be. The angular momentum will take seismic activity vertically. That is what we are seeing over here. We hit a strong 6.4 yesterday, and we've seen some really deep quakes over there today, kind of inching their way back towards the, really inching its way down to New Zealand. I wouldn't be surprised to see some earthquakes in New Zealand. And oh, there is one here in the the Southern Sea. West Indian Antarctic Ridge, 4.6 at 10 kilometers depth. So that is the first time that this has gotten to the Antarctic Circle. This 4 point something at 10 kilometers down has been going around the globe. And like about this time last week, it made its way into the Arctic Circle. Now we are making its way into the Antarctic Circle. Remember, there is also a typhoon or their version of a hurricane happening over here on Australia's northern coast right now. But what I'm interested in here especially is this southeast of Port Blair, India. I don't know why they're not saying off the coast of Burma or I mean, I would really consider that. I would measure that from Burma or Thailand, but I guess we're counting this as off the coast of India. That makes sense to me. But we've had 2 there in the past day, getting a 3 there in the past day, getting increasingly stronger. Looks like it's been coming. Let's see. That was the one in China. That was the first one, and then the 5 was the second one today. So I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like this and this came after that. So interesting to see all of these working their way out on the Asian plate. Let's go to South America and North America, I guess. North America, we've been having a lot of activity. This is actually, again, the usual suspects in the United States. The, Anchorage Bend of all the way out to the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. We had some over on this peninsula. Oh, we're seeing a lot more here. Let's see. That is a 7.2 and a 7. Oh no, that's a depth. Sorry. 5.3 at 7 kilometers. My bad. I don't know why I got a little bit twisted up there for a second. Ooh, one off the coast here. That's interesting to me because we're seeing it at the intersection of a divergent and a transform boundary. I think those are very interesting because that's what seems to happen at like mid-ocean rifting. And you're kind of seeing rifting and subsidence here. This is basically a plate that's almost completely done subsiding underneath this continental one. Got a lot of uh, all up and down the San Andreas Fault, all of the California border, few in Seattle, and these are bigger than we have seen recently. They've been a lot of tremor size, 0 point something and 1 point something magnitude, but we're starting to see the magnitudes creep up into the 2s and 3s over in as we're on the western side of the North American craton. And then one here right in the New Madrid seismic zone, right where Dutch Sense lives. Very interesting to see that there. It's like a little saying hi. We had one in Oaxaca 2 days ago, yesterday. This is today. We had a 5.6 at about 60 kilometers down in Colombia. Still have a lot of activity both in Peru and Chile because of their respective volcanic activities as well. Now let's take a look. Let's go out from the Earth and take a look at the atmosphere. Oh, wait, let's not do that before I mention what we've got down here. And the South Sandwich Islands region. That is a very treacherous part of the Southern Sea. So we got one at the beginning of the island chain and two at the end of the island chain of the South Island Sea. So the first one was this one at 54 kilometers down. Then slightly above it, right after it, we had one 23 kilometers down and to the north of the island chain. Then it went back down to the south part of the island chain. So this is, to me, a little seesaw rocking of the same momentum coming out and manifesting itself right here. And you can see, again, with all the shapes of where plates are going into and out of the earth, you can see kind of the motion of the vertical planes of where there's subsidence and like divergence. Now let's go. Oh, do we have some? No, nothing in Hawaii. Okay. Let's go now to our weather, to our terrestrial atmospheric weather, I should say. Current activity of the Earth. We're looking at surface wind streams and temperatures. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. We have been waiting the whole time. The reason that it hasn't snowed in Asheville the whole time, in my opinion, is that we had to get through the thermal mass that is the mountains to not give so much buoyance to the air around it that dense cold air can't penetrate the mountains. Like, I felt like it was like a hearth effect, a chimney effect of the mountains. Like, because I know our ground didn't freeze until like a couple days ago for the first time all winter. And I have a feeling that that had to do with why that cold, dense air of snowstorms that have been plaguing the Midwest just really didn't want to make it over that hump to the East Coast. But we are finally there, and there is now snow in Southtown thanks to Winter Storm Indigo. So let's take a look at, as we go up in the atmosphere, what we can expect, what kind of air motion, what air masses are moving in above us. Looks like there is, we just finally got our first snow. Like, we finally cooled off here. And then look at this. We've got this massive ridge forming out here that should be flowing into the continental United States very shortly. But you can see it goes well into the upper atmosphere, this ridge. And that usually means more southern equator type air is going to make it into this area. Now, as we go almost all the way out, almost a planet away to like the 70 and 10 hectopascal levels, well, it takes all the way till the 10th hectopascal level before you even see any divergence from transport this way. And even then, it's not a whole lot. Remember, we've still got basically two different polar low centers right here. One of them is a little colder than the other. The one over here has some vertical component to it, and the one over here has some downward component to it. And so the downward one, there's just a lot going on there. I'm not going to get into that part yet. Let's take a look at some of our analysis, because if y'all are new here, hi, welcome to the show. If you're watching this on Facebook, I don't have Facebook chat pulled up, but I would love to hear a comment from you. I'm also streaming on YouTube at Cloud Hudson. Let's pull up Pivotal Weather and see if it crashes. No. It's such a beautiful website. It's such a great website. It's such a great website. Let's look at observed snowfall. All right. Well, that's, pretty much, yeah, that's accurate. Got a slight dusting here. Analysis. This is 24-hour snowfall analysis. And now if we go back 48 hours, this is where we've gotten in the past 2 days. Then let's go back to 72-hour analysis. This is what we've gotten in the past 3 days. And you can see that there have been feet of snow continuing to be dumped in the Pacific Northwest and in upstate New York and Buffalo. And there's a fair bit of accumulation in this northern South region. I consider this the north part of the South. In this southern Appalachian region, we've had a little bit more accumulation. But look, Texas through Tennessee has gotten a little bit of a break after they had their big snowstorm last week. But all of us are allegedly in for some flooding risks next week. And I'll take you through that just because, here I don't forecast the weather. I forecast what meteorologists are going to forecast, right? So my forecast is that meteorologists will call for floods. Okay, let's take a look at the current hazard map. Now, the way that they name winter storms is calculated based on the number of people currently under different types of winter storm warnings. So there's a good number of people. I mean, we're still in a freeze watch and warning down here in Florida. So that'll be interesting for the citrus growers. I think they're in pretty good shape. We are at flooding risk again in the coastal Carolinas, still getting enough rain that it's a flood risk rather than a freeze risk. Let's look now at, I want to look at real analysis. What did we actually observe? Because again, I'm a weather reporter, not telling you what's going to happen. I'm telling you what did happen. And it did get really cold all across the continental United States. Let's watch this air mass spill in. And it's my favorite thing to look. It's like Bob Ross couldn't have painted it better. Just that beautiful watercolor type of blending that spills into the country. And you can see overnight, it slips in overnight and then it breathes out in the daytime and it slips back in. But we are finally seeing some of those warmer temperatures come back up out of Mexico into the Southwest, into Texas, finally getting back into the 70s for Texas and California. But we had just started to cool off the East Coast. We just finally cooled the Appalachian Mountains down. So I don't think that's going to change as fast as it could. Like, it takes a while to cool the mountains down. And I know you're looking at the Rockies like, why can the air make it over there? Well, it actually has been funneled kind of away from all of the mountains. It doesn't, remember that heavy air doesn't want to go through all the ups and downs of the mountains. It wants to go in this little scoop bowl shape, that this basin that makes up the country, where we've got really high mountains on the west coast and some like lower, older mountains in the east coast, making a little bowl for the cold air to scoop right down with the Gulf of Mexico. Sometimes I just call it the Gulf of Moisture. We get the polar air coming in to meet with the Gulf of Moisture, and that's what creates our delicious snowstorms. But all of the fans of warmer weather should be happy when we see a little bit more warm weather coming to us next week. But like I said, the mountains are full of thermal mass. It's like how rock is cool when it's hot and hot when it's cold. Like, the thermal mass takes a long time to change in very rocky places, mountainous places, lots of earth. It'll insulate the temperature well. So now that we've finally cooled it off, we're not going to see like a warm snap. Like the air will get warm snap, but we're still going to have cold sunk into the ground for a little bit. So it'll be different. It'll be more like a spring 65 than a end of summer 55 or 65. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a different quality to the way the sun feels on your skin when the ground has been baking in summer heat all summer, compared to ground that, say, for instance, just finally froze after an entire winter of progressively colder and colder temperatures. The same air temperature will feel different based on what the, like, how much heat is stored in the environment around. So let's take that, I don't know. Let's look at, I want to look at the, let's look at them. Do I want to look at models? I want to look at the Weather Prediction Center forecast. Let's see what these forecasters are thinking. Not much. All right, looking at significant flood risk, significant rainfall risk over in California and Texas. Let's look at winter storm severity index. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, still looking at those lake effect snow regions up here in the Midwest and the Great Lakes region. Still looking at that lake effect snow machine. Still looking at the West Virginia snow machine. Possibly more as we're, again, cooled off very significantly in the Midwest. And they've got a lot of snow on ice on the ground still. And keeping snow and ice on the ground adds to the winter snow effect. It wants to get more snowy when there's snow there. And this is why there's the significant flood risk in California, because they've been getting dumped with snow recently, and then they're about to get excessive rainfall. Excessive rainfall on top of excessive snow can melt an amount of the snow, and that will lead to a lot of runoff. You want the snowpack to be able to get packed in and locked in a little bit before you dump a bunch of flood liquid rain on top of it. Otherwise, it doesn't want to stay up there all winter, and it's supposed to come floating down in the springtime. But sometimes you get a fake spring, and that messes things up. Let's go now to our space weather, because as we know, the atmosphere doesn't really stop. There's not like a harsh line of this is the Earth's atmosphere and this is outer space. We have actually a gradient all the way. When you get into the ionosphere, you get into the hectopascal range of like 1 or 2 of pressure. You are basically in space. You're past the ionosphere. And let's see, not too many coronal mass ejections today. Just 2. Oh my goodness. I think this is the first time we've only had 1 coronal mass ejection in the 24-hour period of a day in at least a month. Probably several months. That was a decent one too. I'm going to pull up the SDO. I'm going to pull up the Solar Dynamics Observatory video of it for sure. Let's take a look at auroral activity, because we had an increased chance of seeing aurora yesterday in Canada and a few other places. With the current wind speed, it'll take solar wind 59 minutes to propagate from Discover to Earth, and that is where they are measuring it here. All right, so our hemispheric power went down just a little bit from yesterday, but we still got, that's still a good dose of fast solar wind combined with plasma power. Really, you want the fast winds blowing these charged particles into the ionosphere, creating chemical reactions that let off light, and you'll be able to see basically the streams of solar wind into the atmosphere, and that is the lighted up current of the aurora borealis. Let's see. What's wrong? Okay. Yeah, we're still looking at mostly a Canadian opportunity. We are seeing observed data being of the storm time disturbance. We're seeing a bit of an increased charge in the interplanetary magnetic field here, more than the prediction. Still, the IMF is a lot than it was yesterday. Yesterday we were at like, I think 9 nanotesla, down to 4 today. Let's go now to the can I go to, I have SDO on here? No, I don't. Let me just go to, let's go ahead and check out the Solar Dynamics Observatory out of NASA so we can see the pretty pictures. I like to see the sun in motion because it's so full of life and activity. Okay. I'm trying to leave that. Let's go to, see if that works. So glad to have you guys here, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. There's one launch. You see a few more. You can see them just fizzling, ready, waiting. All these complicated little ropes you see playing, like playing catch, playing toss. It's like they're playing patty cake. You see them get ready, get more complicated and more complicated, and then they launch themselves. They fling themselves into the air. It's so fun to see it arcing like a, I don't know, like Tesla coils or a spark plug, or, oh, beautiful, beautiful eruption. And you can see them just dance around like little tornadoes. It takes a long time for these things to launch because there's so many moves in the little dance they have to do before they leave the sun. And everybody's showing off their fanciest moves right now. It's like a dance recital. Everybody's like, look at us tango, look at this one, these two specifically. Let's just take a look at this. Look at how they're fighting back and forth. It's like a little drama. They look like the little red and blue boxer men just fighting each other. And then there was a slight mass launch of a filament there. I mean, that was a beautiful one too. We've seen a lot of activity up here. We've got some facing Earth direct and also arcing over. So it'll be interesting to see how this moves, if any of these launch soon. I bet this is going to launch more soon. I feel like this one's ready to go. This is getting good. These could be Earth direct while they launch if they are spinning into Earth view. So maybe we will see a lot more activity. Let's take a look at the planets today. see where the planets are. Today is a Venus day, and we are in a moon hour. So thank you all for being here on such a beautiful day. Honestly, I had to give props to Venus and wear my like teal green hair and a pink tie. I think that Venus would approve of that. And she is still sitting pretty in Sagittarius here, making a interesting square to Neptune and Pisces, which could be very constructive if you know it's here, and very weird if you're blindsided by it. But that Pisces Neptune is making a great sextile to the moon in Taurus, who has just passed over both Jupiter and Uranus. Honestly, was expecting a little bit of eruptive activity, a little more eruptive activity out of the Earth with the moon in Taurus, but I believe that we're still not out of the woods when it comes to volcanic activity, at least not for this cycle. It might be more of an Aquarius season thing. And as you can see right here, we are just right now almost right about to approach the exact conjunction of the sun and Pluto in Capricorn, and they will both move into Aquarius. First the sun and then Pluto right after, immediately after their conjunction. So they're going to be at like 29 degrees and 59 seconds when they can join, which is just bonkers in the first place. And then you consider that we've got a big Saturn Neptune conjunction right at 0 degrees of Aries coming up in the future, and we are just at a really good like blank slate, clean slate timeline place to set up a new timeline, like really establish what timeline you want to be on here. And if you just came here for the weather and you're like, why the fuck are you talking about astrology? It's because I am just observing what's going on with all the heavenly meteors. I am a meteorologist in that I am observing the movements of meteors from the terrestrial scale all the way to the cosmic scale. I think there is no such thing as a discrete entity. There's only gradients overlapping in many different ways. So, and if you think that something is discrete, you're just not looking at the layers where it's blended. Now, and that includes the value of looking at planetary geometry in conjunction with space weather, solar weather, and terrestrial weather. I still love this is a big power moment, Sun and Pluto, but I love that it's making like almost like optimistic sextile with Neptune and the moon here. I think this is a really good condition for the moon to be in to lend support, like because the moon is exalted in Taurus. I think this is a great place for the moon to be in to lend support. The moon just met with Uranus, and Uranus is in modern astrology the ruler of Aquarius. So I feel like that's the moon depositing some Uranus vibes to Sun and Pluto. Like, yeah, it's okay. You can get into the Aquarius vibe. We are ready for it. And I am very ready for the Sun and Pluto to be in Aquarius. And all we'll have is that exalted Mars and a pretty happy Mercury, and soon a pretty happy Venus, because they all three have triplicity in the Earth sign. Or two have triplicity in the Earth sign and one is exalted, Mars is. So, I mean, they'll be happy in Capricorn. But I am ready to get Pluto and the Sun out of there, because I would much rather have the personal planets in Capricorn. That to me screams we're doing it. We're making it happen. We're getting shit done. Again, we just had the exact Jupiter sextile Saturn the other day, and I'm pretty happy about that as well. Now, what did I want to do? Oh yeah, let's just go ahead and do a little vibe check, shall we? All right. let's do a little vibe check. Vibe check is, I'm taking that out of my ear. Can you see my light, my lens flare? Got lens flare glare. Here, how do I? Beautiful selenite. It's like Mother Nature's fiber optic cable. Mother Nature's fiber optics. Beautiful, beautiful selenite. I love the sound. I love the sound the selenite makes. Thank God rocks are so pretty. You know, I mean it literally. Thank God. I don't know what I would do some days without rocks being pretty. I don't care if they work how people think they do or not. I don't care if I'm crazy for liking pretty rocks. They're so pretty and they make me so happy. And I think that's magical. Just listening to this sound, like tapping my fingernails on the selenite and seeing the flash. Love seeing the flash dance its way through the selenite. That makes me happy enough that I don't give a shit if somebody thinks that it's unscientific to use selenite as a forecasting enhancement. Maybe it just makes me feel pretty. Maybe it makes me feel like I have a fiber optic cable connecting me to everyone else. All right. And I also like it because these are just ever so slightly out of tune with each other, so I like to strike them separately. All right. And we'll wake up the cards. Hello, sleepies. Again, I haven't read all these cards. I am mostly finding out what they say with you guys. So, you know, if I'm not saying I agree with them. This is just what this little stack of positivity, positive vibes thinking cards have to say. They're not oracle cards. They're more like just Tony Robbins quotes type stuff. They're just motivational vibes. Like, wow, it would be awesome if I could be as optimistic as some of these cards. You know, some of them are really like, they're not victim blamey, but they're like, wow, you really could just want things to be good and they would be. Is the vibe of some of them. And I'm like, I would like to be that optimistic. It would be helpful if somebody who watches the weather as much as I do would be optimistic. Because again, I think that you do kind of, the attention you give to the weather does kind of help it become the weather you want it to be. I'm not saying you control the weather right now. I'm not saying that right now. But it does help to be optimistic and hopeful with weather. You can't hope away a storm, but you sure as shit can worry one into existence. I have definitely done it. It's possible. Okay. Let's see. I've done that one a lot. Give me something new. It's not new. Okay. All right. Got a little ocean scene here. Pretty little ocean painting. It says, I am learning that all problems resolve themselves. And it says, when you have a problem, a desire exudes forth from you, and Source hears it and answers it immediately. Once you remove your attention from the problem, you then allow the solution. Give birth to the question and let it go, and allow the answer to flow. Read that again. I am learning that all problems resolve themselves. When you have a problem, a desire exudes forth from you, and Source hears it and answers it immediately. Once you remove your attention from the problem, you then allow the solution. Give birth to the question and let it go, and allow the answer to flow. All right. Pretty fun one. And it's waves. Get it? Because everything's waves. Because you can let it flow and go. All right, y'all. That's been it for me. I'm Cloud Hudson. As always here, I'll be here every single night on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook when I feel like it. But please come on over to the YouTube channel. Just give me a little follow. You can log in with Google. It helps a lot to just have the number of subscriptions go up. I'm not really stressing too much about channel performance, but I would love to be able to help a lot more people get a good weather forecast. And I'm a little silly. I'm a little goofy. In case you didn't notice, I'm a little silly, goofy guy. So it's kind of a funny time. So I'm a real meteorologist. I got a tie in everything. So what else could you want? What other qualifications do you need? Yeah, I got a degree, but that's like, I got a tie. More importantly, I have the tie. So, all right. I love you guys. Have a great night. Stay safe. Don't be scared. Have a great night. Believe in yourself. I love you all.